Let's Talk Loughborough, the podcast from Loughborough University, bringing you interesting interviews from staff and students all across campus. I'm Jemima, your host, and I study English with Digital Humanities here at Loughborough, and I'm a second year.
And I'm Sophie, I'm Jemima's co-host. I'm the Internal Communications Officer at the university, looking after student and staff comms.
So today we're going to be talking with Sophie Hyde from the Careers Networks and two other students who will soon introduce themselves, and they have benefited from the support from the Careers Network.
Hi, I'm Sophie Hyde and I'm the Student Success Manager in the Careers Network.
Hi, good morning. My name is Joseph Bentley. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called ACT Medical, and I recently graduated from Loughborough University where I studied product design and technology.
Hi, I'm Subomi. I'm a second year media and communication student.
So before we start with the questions that you guys have sent in via Loughborough Instagram, we're going to ask the icebreaker question, which today is, what did you want to be when you're growing up? So if we start with Subomi.
When I was growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor and find the cure for cancer. But when I got to high school, I realized I didn't like any sciences. So I was like, no, thank you.
That's a good one for growing up, though. Very aspirational, very good. We'll go with Joseph next.
I'm not sure what I wanted to do while growing up. I think definitely architecture was something that really fascinated me. And, you know, I didn't study hard enough for GCSEs to try and reach that goal. But no, I think architect.
And then Sophie, what did you want to be?
Funnily enough, I actually wanted to be like a singer or a musician. I don't know about anyone else in the room, but I used to have the hairbrush and sing in my bedroom and everywhere else. But I have not done anything like that for a really long time now. So I've definitely gone in a different direction.
I think no matter your age, you still will sing with your hairbrush in your room when you're getting ready. So I can relate there. I wanted to be an actress when I was growing up. I went to performing arts school and stuff, so I was always acting, but definitely English and digital media was a new thing I discovered, and I really enjoy it now. So don't mind giving up that acting dream. What about you, Soph?
Maybe it's a Sophie thing, because I also wanted to be a singer. So maybe this is something that me and Sophie need to look into doing. Maybe starting our own Loughborough University band.
I would definitely give that a listen when the next EP drops.
Excellent! I can't wait.
So we're going to dive straight into the questions right now. And our first question is, if you could please give us a quick overview of what the Careers Network is, because not everyone's going to be familiar with it.
Yeah, of course I can. So the Careers Network is a team of people based in student services that provides expert information, advice and guidance in various forms. So we offer one-to-one appointments, we offer coaching, we offer events and workshops, both live and on demand, in person and online. Things like our careers fairs that students will be most familiar with in terms of actually going and meeting employers at stands at the careers fairs, and our well-known TalkSport conference. There's some examples of events that we run, and a whole host of online resources as well that are available via our website and also on Learn. We have a module which is CA007 on Learn that just enables students to access a range of support and advice connected to all things employability and careers, placements, graduate roles, internships, entrepreneurship through the Loughborough Enterprise Network, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly, and kind of skills development and personal best, which is where our new initiative comes in as well.
Thank you. And it's important to note that these are really accessible, and the Careers Network is for everyone. Jo and Subomi, what is your experience with the Careers Network, and how did you get in touch and contact with it?
Yeah, so I studied product design and technology, as I might have said. In my final year, I developed a system for hopefully stemming bleeding from penetrating wounds. And it was something that I definitely wanted to look at taking forward, but I had absolutely no idea about sort of enterprise and student foundership and everything like that. And I got in touch through these accessible tools, reached out to Sophie. We had a number of conversations, and it really kind of opened my eyes and just really showed me how much support is out there for student sort of entrepreneurs or people that want to take their ideas forward. So the help from the university, we went through one-to-one sessions, support with intellectual property and patents, and we managed to get one of those out the door for the system as well. And yeah, it really, and I'm based down at the Loughborough studio at the moment, which is sort of like the Loughborough Enterprise Network student kind of growth business incubator down on campus, which we can touch on in a bit as well. But yeah, it's an incredible support network for people who I had absolutely no idea where to start. And we are, in a very, very different position 6 months later. So I would absolutely recommend it to anyone.
Well, for me, I first got in contact with the Careers Network very early on in my first year. So I was confused about what career I wanted to go to. I was kind of stuck between journalism and marketing. So I first got into contact with career coaching and career counseling team, and they kind of helped me to kind of make a decision in what career I wanted to go to. So I eventually decided marketing, and they also helped me to kind of signpost me to different areas in the university that I could get experience, because I was kind of struggling with the fact that I didn't have any experience and I had to get a job, which is kind of like a whole dynamic. But so they told me that I could be a course representative, I could be a part of the Loughborough Coach and Volunteering Academy. So part of doing that, I was able to get volunteering experiences under my belt and kind of improve my CV a bit. Yeah, that's it for now.
Thank you. Those are really good experiences in terms of like the entrepreneurship side, but also even like your first year, you come to university, you don't really think about what you do after graduation, and you think about the now, but thinking ahead and like what you want to go into in terms of like business, career goals is really important to think of, because when you get your degree, you're gonna have to find a job. So it's great to get a head start on those things. My next question is, what support did you give to students during their placement year?
Yeah, it's funny. This is a question we get quite a lot. And there is still support available while you're out on placement. Of course, you can still access things like resources. You can still access Learn and modules that are available on Learn. You can find out more about, what your final year project and modules are actually going to contain even while you're out on placement. But I think the biggest thing that I would say here is, you do have access to your placement team or your placement officer and your tutor, your placement tutor that you're assigned, so that you've got somebody there who you can inform of any issues or problems that might arise while you're on placement, because these members of staff are still there to support you. So the other thing that you can do is make sure that you're referring to Learn and any school placement handbooks that are available to you, which is particularly relevant if you are working towards your diploma for professional studies or industrial studies as part of taking that placement year experience as well. So students that have been on placement will know that you do get a visit from your placement tutor. Some of these visits may be virtual, depending on what your placement is and kind of where it's based. But also many placement tutors will travel to actually visit you in person to see how you're settling in. And I think my biggest piece of advice would be, don't be afraid to contact your placement tutor first. I think this is a piece of advice we could probably give to all students in lots of different contexts, but we're talking about careers and employability and placements today. And I think, once you know who it is, it's absolutely okay for you to contact them so that you've started that conversation early, so that you've got that relationship building with them, so that you kind of know what to expect. They are here to support you, and so you have got people here while you're out on placement that you can still contact.
I have another question, Sophie. In terms of your placement tutor, would that be someone in your department, so like a lecturer that you may already know?
Yeah, normally it is somebody from your academic school. But yeah, so they will come down. It might be somebody that you already know really well. It might be somebody perhaps slightly different to that, but you can always contact them and kind of get to know them first. And that for me is the biggest piece of advice that I would give students, so that you feel that you can open that line of communication whenever you need it.
Yeah, fab, thank you. I think that's one thing that I really love about like Loughborough in terms of like Careers Network, or just in everything as well. We always get support in anything that we're doing and like any next step. I'm looking to go on placement next year, fingers crossed, and I've already like accessed a bit of the Careers Network and found so much help, and there's always support in every step of your journey here, and even after you leave. As Joe is a graduate, he'll tell you that even after you leave, there's so much support. So my next question is, do you provide support again for students looking for part-time jobs and internships?
Yeah, so this is something actually that I think Subomi will be able to talk about a little bit shortly, because of her experience with Talent Match. But we regularly talk to students one-to-one as part of our careers advice appointments. So we'll provide support with applications, CVs, cover letters, run interview sessions, like prep sessions with students. And these can be linked to part-time jobs and or internships, as well as any placement or graduate roles as well. The kind of flagship program that we currently run that focuses on internships and micro internships at the moment is Talent Match. That is currently live at the moment and offers 2 different types of opportunity depending on whether a student is looking for their first experience, as Subomi was talking about earlier, and I'm sure she'll talk about this again in a moment. So this could be a micro internship project for a Part A or B student, for example, or whether they're looking to actually build their experience as a final year or a graduate. And there are kind of graduate internships. So these opportunities, they're paid and they range from 1 to 2 weeks if it's a micro opportunity, up to 4 weeks full time in length if it's a kind of graduate or finalist opportunity. And all of the opportunities are with a range of small, medium enterprises, startups, and even actually this year, some internal departments at Loughborough potentially as well. So, I mean, Subomi's got first-hand experience of it, so I'm sure she'll tell you a bit more in a moment. But yes, ultimately, we do offer that kind of support as well.
Yeah, fab. And onto that, Subomi, the floor is yours.
So I remember in first year, I was still very nervous that I didn't have enough experience, and I really wanted to apply for summer internships and spring weeks. But I kind of psyched myself out of the whole thing because I was just too scared. And then I came across the Talent Match program, and I saw that it was only open to Loughborough University students. And even though that kind of scared me even more because Loughborough students are geniuses, but I was still like, okay, I still kind of have like a playing field and I can still kind of make it to a summer internship. So I applied for it and I got an internship with a student mental health organization called #me. And I did an internship for 3 months in the summer. And they also kept me on for quite a while, up to February this year.
That was really good. I hope you enjoyed your internship, but also it shows just how by making those connections as well, they can last forever and they can keep you on further if they really want to, which is really interesting. I don't think most people think once they finish that internship, done deal, don't have to think about it again, but it's a great way to connect and network in terms of moving forward with the future and like if you ever want to come back. So Talent Match is like an incredible program that I would recommend as well. Our next question is, tell us a bit more about how you help with business startups. So I think you and Joe can speak about this.
Yeah, Jemima, you might have to shut me up in a minute because as most people know, this is an area I'm really familiar with, so I could talk about it for ages. So, so the Loughborough Enterprise Network is really your one-stop shop for and your community for anything related to kind of business startups and enterprise. That includes entrepreneurial skills as well. So it's not just open for students who want to start a business, although that's a great thing to want to do. It's also available for students to just develop entrepreneurial skills while they're at university, because those entrepreneurial skills will be so useful for when you go out into the world of employment as well, even if you're working in an organisation for somebody else. So the Loughborough Enterprise Network, some staff are based in careers, and I'll talk about kind of where they sit in a moment. But we also work very closely with the Students' Union through LSU Enterprise, with academic staff because we offer the year in enterprise placement year, and also with staff in research and enterprise connected back to our studio for graduates and how we build innovation as an institution for our students and graduates afterwards. So in terms of the kind of offering from the Enterprise Network, there's a number of things very similar to what we talked about earlier with regards to the Careers Network. So you can have one-to-one support, as Joe said, through business coaching. We also offer that business coaching in group sessions. We run dedicated programs for particular sectors or particular parts of business or areas of business. So, for example, in the past, we've run a freelancer program for our more creative, arts-based and freelancer opportunities, boot camps, workshops, networking events. There's a whole host of activity really that is offered. And I think the Careers Network staff would say that they base themselves really in our develop stage, which is much more about developing the skills and knowledge you need to get started on a business journey or understand what it actually takes to take your business to the next level and go on the kind of journey that Joe has. I should say here as well that there's dedicated support across the Enterprise Network, both in the East Midlands and also at our London campus for postgraduate students as well. And we do offer tangible funding for students when it comes to entrepreneurship as well. So we have 2 different pots of funding. We have an early stage pot of funding through the Students' Union, which is up to £500. And we also have our startup funding, which can be anywhere from £500 to £5,000 for students and graduates who are looking at wanting to get started, set something up and take it to the next level. So huge amount of activity. And as you say, Joe's got kind of, active experience in that right now. So I'm sure can share a bit more.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I can talk about a very specific section, but the Loughborough Enterprise Network is a huge sort of wheel of machine. It's incredible the amount of support that it offers to students across the entire campus and postgrad and beyond. But yes, I can talk about a very specific part, which is that post-grad journey. So after graduating, I had really no idea what I wanted to do. I had a graduate offer with a medtech consultancy on the table, but I decided that I wanted to go into trying to develop this device and take it to market. And I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So Sophie was sort of my first port of call was, hey, can I, what do I do? How do I do this? And she connected me up with Pete Hitchings, who runs the Loughborough studio. He's a studio manager and runs a lot of graduate startups that have been through this process. And the sort of immediate learnings were astronomical. I mean, learning how to sort of manage and plan and build your strategy for taking it to market, but also just understanding, what is the core of your business, or what is the core of this idea? Who are you trying to save? Who are your customers? How are you going to get it to market? And it was an incredible journey, and I am still in a very, very early stage. But the amount of confidence that it's given me to actually go out and have these conversations with partners, potential customers, potential research partners, other universities, an absolutely fantastic thing. I definitely suggest anyone who is interested in taking not just their ideas forward, but generally entrepreneurship. I feel like, as Sophie rightly said, these are skills that are completely transferable into any career opportunity you want to go into. So definitely reach out.
Yeah, thank you. I think entrepreneurship is not something that many people think about, but we have such an access to hone those skills and develop them. I've seen them firsthand I work for Loughborough Vintage currently, and so I see those two boys and they tell me, Michael and Brandon tell me what's going on when they go into the studio, and they learn so much from it, like Joe, you have as well. And it's just amazing to see you can go in so many different career paths as a student, and you can choose really anything that you want if you think of something, and you can take it to someone and they can guide you into where it best fits. So my next question is, what support do you provide for international students looking for jobs?
Yeah, thanks, Jemima. This is a really, these questions are all really interesting. We actually have a dedicated section on our Careers Network website, and the Careers Network website is somewhere that I could have signposted to for every question that you asked, but I was like, don't signpost everywhere, it'll be really repetitive. So we have a dedicated section on the Careers Network website, which details the support available to international students. And this is on everything from actually preparing for employment to resources and external platforms that we have access to, such as Going Global, for things like finding jobs outside of the UK or applying for jobs inside the UK. There's also information on visas, starting a business for international students, and kind of what's involved there, going back to what we were just talking about with the Loughborough Enterprise Network. And that page also showcases some international graduate profiles as well for students who might want to go away and have a look at some examples and case studies of where students have gone post-study as well. And of course, international students can access our appointments for one-to-one support too. So there's lots there for international students to be able to access support as well. And that page has everything all in one place to make it easy to find.
Oh, thank you. I think very much everything that we talked about today has been a lot of information. So definitely make sure you check out the Careers Network page, because it will have a reiteration of everything that we said today. And then my next question is job opportunities for those pursuing PhDs.
Yeah, if I may, I'm actually going to talk from a personal experience perspective here, Jemima, rather than, although I can allude to obviously the information that we have available on our website too. I think what I would like to say to current postgraduate researchers is to some extent, it's open. You've got lots of different career paths that you can opt to follow. Of course, lots of doctoral researchers are in the position that they're in studying for PhDs because many of them will have an interest in academic roles and in academia and in higher education. There are also students who are doing PhDs who have a vested interest in a particular industry. They might have an industry sponsor or be connected to a particular sector, and they know that that PhD is something that is going to propel them into that particular industry. But what I would say is be open to the fact that your PhD can also take you in a number of different directions. It might be that you progress into that chosen occupation qualification or organisation. Might also be at times that you've got several different jobs or a kind of portfolio career going on where you've got several different jobs simultaneously. It might be that it's really diverse and varied, and that you are able to kind of, move from job to job. There's a much more acceptance now of that kind of portfolio career where you get your experience and then you kind of go on a journey and you kind of progress as you might through different organisations and opportunities. So I think it's about what motivates them. It's about what they're interested in. Of course, it's going to be about the job options that might be available. And the Careers Online system is a great place for all students, as well as postgraduate students, to go and have a look at job vacancies that are available from industry and employers that we're connected with. And of course, it will be about what's going on at the time. But what I would just say is that, yes, academia is a great opportunity, but there are also lots of opportunities you can take. I certainly didn't expect to end up in the situation that I have. As I said earlier, I wanted to be a singer and a musician. But off the back of my PhD and the entrepreneurial experience I had here as a student, I've landed in a brilliant job in higher education that actually is in a slightly different direction to what I was expecting. So I think you can be open to, and you're going to have all those transferable skills, as Joe was saying earlier, from your PhD and that project management that you can take in any direction.
I'm just going to ask what you did your PhD in.
This always comes up, and it's a bit of a long-winded title, Sophie. So effectively, rather than tell you the title, what I did my PhD in was it was a poetry and creative writing PhD. So hugely rapid English, Jemima, because that's what I studied as an undergraduate. And it was looking at the 2011 riots and focusing on how they impacted Birmingham. So I interviewed a number of people that were impacted by the riots in Birmingham at that time. Also took kind of analysis from Twitter and social media and turned all of that information into a collection of poetry, and then used theory from social sciences, from media and communication specifically to underpin that. So it is online somewhere, open access in the repository, and I do still have a copy. I actually found it the other day, and it was a great experience. I loved my PhD experience. It was fantastic, and again, talking about the support we have here at the university, staff and students and colleagues and peers were so helpful during that period of time. I would thoroughly, as we've said already, recommend it. But yeah, that's what I did it on.
That's super interesting. I love it. I love to kind of see what people studied and then what they end up doing as a career. I know I studied history and now I work in internal comms, which are not directly linked, but a lot of the stuff that I learned during my degree I now use every day. So no, it's very interesting.
No, definitely. I'm really interested in that. That sounds really cool. Maybe I'll read your PhD. But in terms of everything you said, Sophie, I think the most important thing that can resonate for everyone, not just postgrad, is just be open to. Especially here, we all decided at a very young age we're doing different things to what we imagined. We had an architect turned product design turned into amazing entrepreneur. It changes, and we have to be open to change, and definitely through the support you can go through a different pathway and still land in an amazing job and career that you might have not thought about in the beginnings. So my next question, which Joe and Sophie you probably can touch on a bit more, what do you provide support in terms of after graduation?
Yeah, we do provide support after graduation, and this is one thing that we would really want to get out to all students, and especially final year students at the moment. Our support doesn't necessarily just stop when you finish your studies and leave the university to go on to whatever it is that you might be doing next. And again, we do have a dedicated webpage that details all of this information on the Careers Network website specifically for graduates, so that you can see the information and advice available to you as a graduate. So some examples of that support are graduates can still access our Careers Online system to be able to see thousands of vacancies a year placed by employers who have a particular interest as well in Loughborough students and graduates working for them, which is great. And recent graduates can contact us for careers advice one-to-one. So we offer appointments in the form of careers coaching for in-depth discussion with a careers coach as a graduate. We offer interview coaching for graduates to practice interview techniques. Appointments can obviously also be via Teams or telephone if a graduate is not local to the Loughborough area. And graduates can also access our online tools. So we've got 4 different online tools And they can do things like match you to certain career areas, understand your working preferences. You can practice the psychometric tests and assessments that employers might ask you to do as part of an assessment centre or before you go through as part of the recruitment process. And of course, as Joe and I alluded to earlier, there's also enterprise and business support as a graduate too.
Thank you. Loads of support that you can find, especially after leaving. Very important to note that, like you said, Sophie, it's not just you get your degree and you never come back. There's a lot of support going on, which maybe Joe, you can touch on a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to say, I think graduating can be obviously an incredible time for a lot of people. You know, you've worked really, really hard and you've got to this point where, you know, you can celebrate all of those achievements that you've picked up at your time at university. But I think it's very important to say that it can actually be quite a tough time for a lot of people as well. You know, you're going out into the real world, and it's maybe you haven't got a graduate job sorted, and it can be very stressful and quite a sort of powerful time to go, okay, what do I want to do? Where do I want to start? And I think it's really important to sort of highlight particularly those tools that the university offers, where you do have that support, you do have that sort of that network that can pick you up and say, okay, well, here's the best place to start. This is how you can, you know, get going at looking for different opportunities. And I definitely found that. I mean, I sort of finished, I graduated, and I was like, oh my God, what do I want to do? And I think the university really helped me, and, you know, getting into this Loughborough Students Incubator scheme really kind of, you know, streamlined that process of, okay, how do I get from A to B and get into a position? So it's a different journey than a lot of students are going to go down. Talking specifically about the sort of confidence building and how much that really kind of changed my outlook on everything, because I kind of felt that I had been, you know, thrown down this path of like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But taking control of that again through the skills and the teachings of the incubator, but also just being around a group of students that have been in exactly the same position and had chosen to go and start their own businesses as well instead of looking at graduate positions. I think it was it's a hugely supportive environment, the Loughborough Enterprise Network, and I think that's the most important thing to get across.
Thank you. It's like so good to hear your experience, to also like reassure students, because like you said, many of us go down this path and we're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And to hear different experiences and to hear how you've been like supported and how you've like grown through this like path as well is really important to hear. So moving on to our final question today, I think it is about the new initiative, the Student Success Academy. So if you could please tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, of course. So the Student Success Academy is a new initiative, as you say, that is led by a new team based in the Careers Network, so the Student Success team. And its focus is really on lifelong skills and a kind of holistic program of interconnected projects that really provide that focus on those lifelong skills throughout all stages of a student's journey through university. And in particular, I think what the team and the academy are most interested in kind of looking at and focusing on is those transition points. So we've talked about some of those transition points already, such as being a final year and then transitioning out into the world of work as a graduate. We've talked about, you know, securing a placement, transitioning out to being on placement, but then I'm particularly interested as well is in that return from placement and what we can do to ensure that students feel confident and ready to come back into their academic studies as well. And we kind of complement the work of other teams across the university and work in collaboration with a lot of other teams across the university, not just in Careers Network, but more other professional services as well, and in academic schools, to ensure that what we're offering is really holistic, so that it is considering student skill development, but it's also considering students' experiences on a daily basis and helping to empower them to feel like they can overcome any barriers along the way as well. So as well as our work kind of sitting, I guess, across all stages of the student life cycle, what I will say is it's also open to all students, but we have a particular focus on really being quite personalised and tailored with that support. And we currently have a number of projects that sit under the Student Success Academy that actually start pre-Careers Network. They actually start in marketing and in our kind of recruitment and outreach team, in the school and colleges team, focusing on the pathway into university, the pathway into higher education, and ensuring that more students have access to that as an opportunity. And then once students are here, our team really focuses on how can we ensure that they are achieving success in whatever that means to them, because success means different things to different people. And so we do things like we've run a peer mentoring scheme this year that's been piloted in particular academic schools to look at peer mentoring as a model and how that might work for students. We are going to be more involved in personal best and Ready Set Loughborough, so looking specifically at that skills development piece and the personal best development program, and kind of what personal best can do for second and third years. So personal best is active in many students' modules and in many students' degree programs in first year, and now it's about, okay, how can we as a team help students to then move through second year and third year, still continuing that personal and professional skills development through personal best. We also are quite actively involved in the micro internship side of Talent Match, as we talked about earlier, and looking at how we can ensure that we're sourcing some of those opportunities. Our team may even host some of those opportunities moving forward. And then I think two of the things that I would flag here specifically that have been extremely popular already, and of course this is relatively new, so I'm sure they'll continue to grow. One of those is our academic success coaching. So students get a personal tutor and also have wellbeing advisors and other members of staff within school and professional services that they can contact. But we now have a team of academic coaches who can support students both one-to-one and in groups to really help them to develop the skills that are going to help them long term with achieving whatever academic success means to them. So that kind of includes individual goal setting, planning techniques, a kind of tailored coaching program to really help that student and any individual student depending on what it is that they need. So things like confidence, motivation, time management, they've all come up so far, as well as things like exam preparation, dissertation, critical thinking, etc. And then the final project that I just wanted to touch upon is our Future Black Talent Programme. And Subomi's actually been involved in the Future Black Talent Programme, so to end may want to say something about this. But our Future Black Talent Programme is designed to supercharge Loughborough's Black, African and Caribbean students' career prospects, thinking about work experience and ultimately thinking about placement opportunities, and how we can ensure that students feel really confident about how they can go about accessing those opportunities, and making sure that, you know, we've got opportunities such as mentoring opportunities for those students on that program, making sure that we've got employers that those students can meet and have access to as part of that program, so that they get the opportunity to start building relationships with employers, building their network as part of that program. There is support available through that program for CVs and cover letters and applications as part of that process, and anybody on that program can also look at accessing Talent Match and the internships available as well. So dedicated programs like our Future Black Talent Programme are something that we'll also be moving forward with under the Student Success Academy, because we are responsible for kind of diversity and inclusion programs within Careers Network as well.
Yeah, fab. And Subomi, if you want to talk about Future Black Talent for a moment.
Yes, so I first experienced the Future Black Talent Programme in my first year in April, after I psyched myself out of applying for spring weeks. So I took part in two business challenges. So I was able to work with different companies and network with different professionals from different companies, which was also really good for my CV. And also this year, the Future Black Talent Programme was really helpful in kind of helping me to get a placement and helping me to check my CVs, my cover letter, interview prep, assessment centers, and application questions and things like that. So they've really been helpful in that kind of regard.
Amazing. I'm wondering if, to kind of finish off the episode, we could just go around and maybe share a piece of advice for students who may be nervous about thinking about their career prospects or just want to know more. What's your kind of piece of advice that maybe you wish you'd known sooner?
I'm happy to start. I think certainly the piece of advice that I would always look to give out to students who maybe are, faced with a number of opportunities or don't really know what direction to go into. I think it's always really important that understanding the risks and being ready to take that leap of faith is an absolute superpower. And it's an incredible thing that everyone should do, is always drive for that. The thing that maybe looks the hardest to achieve but that has, the most incredible results. Always take that risk and always take that leap of faith.
So my piece of advice would be, if you don't know what you want to do with your life, or you don't know where to start, or kind of where area you want to go to, whatever, you should just never be afraid to kind of reach out for help, because everyone's always willing to help. And I've learned that in Loughborough, that whatever area I was kind of struggling with, academic, mental health, or career-wise, there was always support available, and just not be afraid to kind of reach out for help.
I think my biggest piece of advice would be, and it kind of actually links to both of those really well, is don't be afraid to fail. And we're scared to use that word quite often. In the past, I've talked to entrepreneurial students about it all the time, because what you get off the back of those experiences, even if they don't go your way, we talk to a lot of students a lot of the time in the Careers Network about if they've experienced a rejection, for example, from a job application. We've probably all been there. I know I definitely have. And, that can feel in the moment like something that is quite big and sometimes scary to deal with. And I think, it's about what you learn from those experiences and how you can take those experiences forward. It does take a number of job applications sometimes before somebody is going to be successful on average. And so I think my biggest piece of advice would be, and it kind of links back to what Joe and Subomi were saying, is don't be afraid to take that leap. And if that doesn't work, if for whatever reason there is a rejection, or it doesn't work out in the way that you expected, that's okay. We've talked about a lot of the help that is available, but also the learning that you're going to get from that is only going to develop so many other skills anyway. Your resilience, your confidence, your your motivation. So I just think it's okay when those things happen, and if you need somebody to be on your side to help you to understand and to tell you and to remind you that that's okay, that's what we're here for.
Oh, thank you. Such great advice from everyone. I think it's a process. Careers is a process of mine. It's a very long journey, and you'll get rejections. I feel like applying for placement, rejection after rejection, and you won't feel disheartened, but it is a process and journey, and you'll be successful. But also, don't be afraid to seek out for help. It's never too late to seek out for that help as well. It's always around. You've just got to go and get it, and definitely just take that leap of faith. But Soph, do you have any advice?
I think my advice would be, don't be afraid to change your mind. I got very set on one career path when I was at university, and I think I ignored a lot of other opportunities because I was set on this one career path. And a plot twist, it is not the career that I am now currently in. I did not enjoy it. So yeah, I think it's okay. It's okay to admit when you don't like something and kind of take that pressure off. You don't have to stay in the job that is your first job out of uni forever. If you don't like it, you can change your mind. It's all good. It all works out.
Yeah, it's very important to listen to yourself. If you don't like the job that you may have dreamed of forever, then that's okay. Change. Change is a good thing, even though it may be hard sometimes. So we're rounding up the podcast now. If Sophie, you can tell us for one final time where to find the Careers Network.
Yes, of course. We are, if you want to find us kind of physically, we're based in the Bridgman building over in Student Services. And actually, we will have a number of careers hubs, both in the East and West. They are going to be available through the summer term for people, students and graduates, to just drop in and see us if they need to. So one of those will be based in Stuart Mason building, and the other will be based in West Park Teaching Hub. So there'll be more details about those coming out shortly. In terms of the website, if you just do a simple search of Careers Network Loughborough, the whole website will come up as your top find. And there's a huge amount of accessible resources and information, advice and guidance on the website for you as well.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for joining us today. It's been amazing to have you as guests on the podcast, and also hear about your different experiences, and also a bit more support about how students can access the Careers Network for possible careers in the future. Don't forget that you can subscribe to Let's Talk Loughborough on all streaming platforms, or you can watch the podcast on the Loughborough University YouTube channel.
Thanks so much for listening, and feel free to share any future podcast episode ideas with us via our Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It's been great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you.